The fastest Godzilla ever? Speed comparison. Dramatic music swells. A montage of Godzilla through the ages flashes on the screen. The ominous emergence from the ocean depths, the iconic roar echoing through the cityscape, skyscrapers crumbling underfoot, and epic battles with other towering kaiju. Hey there, fellow monster fans. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the colossal, the extraordinary, and the downright awesome. Today, we're tackling a question that's been rumbling in the depths like Godzilla himself. Just how fast is the king of the monsters? And more importantly, which version of Godzilla is the fastest ever? From the classic black and white behemoth to the modern CGI titan, Godzilla has been wrecking cities and captivating our imaginations for over 6 decades. But speed isn't usually the first thing that comes to mind when we think about our favorite giant lizard, is it? So, let's shake things up a bit. Who would win in a race? The original 1954 Godzilla, the sleek 1998 Hollywood version, or perhaps the latest Legendary Pictures Godzilla? It's time to find out. Speed can mean the difference between catching prey and going hungry, or in Godzilla's case, whether he can catch those pesky MUTOs before they cause too much trouble. Today, we're diving deep into the history of Godzilla, spanning different eras, films, and even animated series. We'll analyze their movements, special abilities, and finally crown the fastest Godzilla ever. The legacy of Godzilla. Before we hit the turbo button, let's rewind to where it all began. Picture this. It's 1954, and Japan is grappling with the aftermath of World War II. Enter Godzilla, a monstrous embodiment of nuclear devastation. Created by Tomoyuki Tanaka and brought to life by director Ishiro Honda, Godzilla was more than just a monster movie, it was a cultural phenomenon. He represented the fears of nuclear power and became a symbol of destruction and rebirth. Over the years, Godzilla transformed from a villain to an anti-hero, and sometimes even a savior of humanity. Talk about character development. Godzilla's cinematic journey is divided into several eras, each with its unique flair. Showa era, 1954 to 1975. The classic period where Godzilla battled a variety of monsters, often with a campy and fun vibe. Heisei era, 1984 to 1995. A reboot that brought Godzilla back to his serious roots, with more sophisticated storytelling and effects. Millennium era, 1999 to 2004. A series of standalone films experimenting with different takes on Godzilla. Reiwa era, 2016-present. The modern era, featuring bold reimaginings like Shin Godzilla and new animated ventures. Plus, we've got the American adaptations and animated series that put their own spin on the legend. Criteria for speed comparison. Alright, time to get into the nitty-gritty. How do we measure the speed of a creature that's the size of a skyscraper? It's not like we can strap a Fitbit on Godzilla's ankle. In kaiju films, speed is relative. It depends on how fast Godzilla moves compared to his surroundings and opponents. Factors include his physical size, the environment, and of course, the constraints of filmmaking techniques. Let's not forget that sometimes, speed is a narrative choice. A slow-moving Godzilla can appear more menacing, while a faster one might be portrayed as more agile and dynamic. So, here's how we're breaking it down. We'll analyze key scenes from various films, consider any official stats provided, and compare Godzilla's movements relative to objects and creatures around him. We'll also take into account the filmmaker's intentions and the era's technological capabilities. Analyzing Godzilla's speed across different eras. First up, the OG himself, the Showa-era Godzilla. In 1954's Godzilla, our favorite giant lizard was portrayed as a slow-moving force of nature. His movements were deliberate and heavy, emphasizing his immense size and the fear he invoked. Special effects back then were all about suitmation, actors in rubber suits stomping on miniature sets. Considering the bulky suits and limited flexibility, the original Godzilla wasn't breaking any speed records. But wait, in later Showa films, Godzilla showed some surprising agility. In the Heisei era, things got a bit more serious. Heisei Godzilla was larger and bulkier, with a focus on sheer power over agility. His movements were slower, emphasizing his massive weight and the unstoppable nature of his character. However, the special effects improved, allowing for more expressive performances. Onto the Millennium era, where each film offered a fresh take. In Godzilla 2000, he was portrayed with a more aggressive demeanor, and his movements became quicker and more fluid. But the real game changer was Godzilla: Final Wars. In this film, Godzilla took on a roster of enemies, moving swiftly and decisively. Now, let's talk about Shin Godzilla, 2016. Shin Godzilla starts off as a creepy, almost pathetic creature, wriggling through the streets. But as he evolves, he becomes more formidable. Still, speed isn't his standout feature here. Then there's the animated series, Godzilla: Singular Point, 2021. This version brings Godzilla into a new realm, where animation allows for movements not constrained by practical effects. American adaptations. First, the 1998 TriStar, Godzilla. Love it or hate it, this Godzilla was fast. Modeled more after a giant reptile or iguana, he was leaner and significantly more agile than his Japanese counterparts. He could outrun helicopters, evade military attacks, and disappear into the urban jungle. This Godzilla's speed was a central aspect of the film, making him a thrilling, if controversial, reimagining. Next up, the legendary Pictures Godzilla from the Monsterverse. This Godzilla brings back the massive, hulking stature we know and love. While he doesn't sprint through cities, his combat speed is impressive. One standout moment is in Godzilla vs. Kong, when he swims at incredible speeds to catch up with naval fleets and confront Kong. Finally, let's not forget about the animated versions. Godzilla. The series, 1998 to 2000. True to his lineage, this Godzilla is fast and agile, making him a formidable opponent against various mutations and monsters. Special abilities affecting speed. Now, let's talk about some of the wild and wacky abilities that impact Godzilla's speed. Did you know that in Godzilla vs. Hedorah, 1971, Godzilla uses his atomic breath to fly? Flying Godzilla isn't a recurring theme, but there are other instances where he exhibits unusual mobility. In some comics and games, Godzilla gains abilities that enhance his speed, like sudden dashes or teleportation. While these aren't mainstream canon, they're fun to consider in our speed comparison. Comparative speed analysis. Time to put it all together. On the left, we've got the 1954 Godzilla taking his time demolishing buildings. On the right, the 1998 Godzilla is sprinting down the street, helicopters struggling to keep up. Notice how the animation allows for faster movements, while earlier practical effects limited speed portrayal. These feats showcase that when Godzilla needs to move fast, he can certainly step on the gas. The fastest Godzilla revealed. After our deep dive into Godzilla's cinematic history, analyzing various incarnations and their top speeds, it's clear that not all Godzillas are created equal, at least when it comes to speed. While the original and many Japanese versions emphasize Godzilla's overwhelming power and indomitable presence, others have highlighted agility and speed as key traits. Drumroll, please. The fastest Godzilla ever is the 1998 TriStar Godzilla. Despite the controversy surrounding this version, there's no denying that his speed is unmatched in the Godzilla pantheon. Factors influencing variations in speed. One big factor in Godzilla's varying speed is the evolution of filmmaking technology. In the early days, suit actors were restricted by heavy costumes and limited mobility. Modern technology allows for more dynamic action sequences, giving us a faster and more responsive Godzilla when desired. Speed isn't just about technology, it's also a narrative choice. In some films, Godzilla is meant to be an unstoppable force, moving slowly to emphasize his colossal mass and the futility of resistance. Fan perspectives and theories. Many purists prefer the traditional, slower Godzilla, seeing the 1998 version as a departure from what makes Godzilla, well, Godzilla. Others appreciate the fresh take and enjoy the added speed and agility. So, what do you think? Do you agree that the 1998 Godzilla is the fastest? Or do you have another contender? Maybe you think the legendary Godzilla deserves the title due to his powerful charges and combat movements. Conclusion. Godzilla has come a long way from his origins as a symbol of nuclear horror to a global pop culture icon. His evolution reflects changes in society, technology, and storytelling preferences. Whether he's slow and imposing or fast and agile, each version brings something unique to the table. It's amazing to see how a character can be reinterpreted in so many ways and still remain true to the core essence that fans love. End credits and bonus content. Fun fact: the original Godzilla suit weighed over 200 pounds. The actor inside, Haruo Nakajima, lost several pounds during filming due to the intense heat and weight. Big shout out to all the incredible filmmakers, actors, and artists who've brought Godzilla to life over the years.